I want to thank everybody for joining us for today's session with EntryLogic. We're going to take a few minutes and just tell you a little bit about EntryLogic before we get into the kind of the core content for today's webinar. Firstly, by way of introductions, my name is Kevin Miller. I'm on the marketing team here at EntryLogic. We'll be joined shortly by Michael Concoli on the product development side of the fence. He'll be taking us through the bulk of the presentation and the parts where we're going to go into the product a little bit. As far as questions go, I think I was mentioning there before from an audio check standpoint, if you wanted to throw a question in. But if you have any general questions about the company, about the product, about just what's going on industry wide, throw them into the Q&A session, and we'll leave a few minutes at the end to see if we can't field them. A couple of other things: we will record today's session, so if there's others in your organization you might have an interest in sharing this with, you'll have an opportunity to do so. So just keep an eye out for that email that'll come out within a couple of days after today's session. So with that, a little bit about EntryLogic, who we are. We're an Ambir company, and Ambir is a company that is involved in a lot of hardware products. But EntryLogic is a cloud-based visitor management solution. We enable companies and organizations to more efficiently manage and track their employees and their visitors, whether it's with one location or across multiple locations throughout their organization, from a single dashboard. And the solution is basically designed to deliver improved and unmatched safety and efficiency especially in managing the people that are coming in and out of your buildings. And sometimes this is something that we handle as a result of regulations, or something it's more or less, sometimes it's just about, we want to provide an extremely efficient and secure workplace for our employees. In terms of EntryLogic tools, we also provide a whole slew of advanced visitor reporting, which can hopefully aid you in meeting any compliance requirements, as I mentioned, and allow you to operate within several regulated industries where those compliance requirements come up. I mentioned before the drivers behind this kind of technology, or sometimes there's a couple of key drivers behind it. One of those drivers is that as we come back into the office workspace from work at home and from COVID, and that's going to probably continue to be a trickle effect over the next few years yet. There may be companies that a year and a half, 2 years from now may still be kind of going in some kind of a hybrid mode, but that continued influx of people going back into regular work environments. Those workers demand a secure environment. They demand a secure environment in a couple of ways. They demand a secure environment from a health standpoint, of course, but certainly, there's other things that they demand a secure environment from. They want to go to work and know that they're not going to be at risk. They want to know if there's any emergency that's happening in their organization, that it can be well handled. And that's where a lot of this technology comes from. There was a poll that went out, or a research survey that had gone out from Traction Guest in 2020. There was also a sales and a security sales and integration survey that went out in 2022. The results, a couple of these, were 85% of workers say workplace safety was more important than ever, and I think that's pretty much common sense at this point. 92% of employees in a recent survey stated that a visitor management system very much helps create a safer workplace. 90% of employees believe it is their employer's duty and moral obligation to keep employees safe. And I think that is more evident than ever post-COVID. 94% of survey respondents say implementing a visitor management system will increase the overall operational efficiency. So just a couple of things from what's in the minds of your employees as they're coming back to work. So in terms of why people are doing this, why people are investing in this technology, and it is a very popular technology right now, especially given the state of the world. When we talk to customers, why they implement it, some want to streamline professional visitor experience. They want people to be treated equally and very well and professionally when they come into the building. I think going and scribbling in a book is probably not a good representation of a company that operates highly efficiently. They want to increase the facility security. That's a given. They want to protect the safety and well-being of their employees. Again, a given, but something that employees are demanding as much as employers are touting they have. They want to deliver cost and time-saving efficiencies for lobby operations. Again, especially if you've got busy lobbies or you're checking a lot of people in and out of your facilities, certainly that's something that has to be dealt with very seriously. They want to provide complete visibility and control over everyone entering, leaving, or present across multiple locations and access points in a single dashboard. That is certainly when we start getting into discussions around things like emergency management. Knowing who's in your building, which buildings they're in, and how to communicate with them in the event of an emergency is critical. Detailed reporting to assist with resource planning, audits, etc. These are the pieces that, if you have to meet certain regulatory guidance, if you're in certain industries, whether that's certain transportation industries or food preparation industries, etc., or certain technical industries where you have to adhere to regulations, that will be important. And I think as far as benefits go, those are some of the drivers as to why people are implementing these systems, or why they're going out and seeking solutions like this. In terms of the benefits that they get from a visitor management system, a well-deployed visitor management system, they get centralization and security of all visitor entry paths. They know who's coming in their buildings, their facilities, where they're at, which buildings they're in, etc. It's that kind of knowing who's where and why. Instant creation of visitor photo ID badges. This is like, the efficiency piece, the professionalism, being able to go in and quickly create badges to give people access to either all or parts of your building. Formalized process for management of visitor agreements. Efficient management of emergency evacuations. Hopefully this isn't something that's dealt with regularly, but you have to have a plan for this, whether it's an incident that may involve violence in the workplace, or whether it's a natural disaster, or something like that, or civil unrest. Those are all things that we've unfortunately had to deal with more and more these days. Secured capture and storage of visitor information, right? So making sure that we know who's been in there, how we get in touch with them if need be, etc. All that kind of plays a role. I'll ask Michael to come on because he's much more familiar with these than I am. I'm actually going to turn it over to Michael. Mike, you can come on and take it from here, but I'll let you talk a little bit more about some of these specific compliance risks and regulations, and then I'll come back on at the end to handle questions if need be.
Thanks, Kevin. Yeah, in terms of compliance risk, there's every industry has different regulations that require certain elements to meet the requirements. And in some cases, there are financial penalties for not complying with either data security issues or just physical security issues. So I won't spend a lot of time on each of the individual ones, but depending on your organization and your line of service, some of these might apply and some don't. But in general, visitor management systems play an important role when it comes to meeting data and physical security requirements, particularly around visitor screening. Having a mechanism to check IDs, screen visitors, have them log in and record who they're there to see, why they're there to see, and how long they're in your building. Some industries require watch lists. So there's people that they do not want permitted in their facility for various reasons. So doing a lookup against a list of known issues or people that you want to eliminate or prevent from entering your facility, that's often a feature capability within the visitor management system. Kevin talked a little bit about photo IDs. Again, some compliance regulatory require physical IDs. In addition to the safety element of it for a facility, being able to quickly identify someone who is a guest versus an employee, somebody who belongs in a certain area of a building or not, it's a requirement. And lastly is visitor agreements. Some of the compliance require privacy policies that are consistently reported, and they're maintained annually for certain vendors or visitors. So having a mechanism to do that embedded in the sign-in flow, record acknowledgement against those agreements, and then store them in their visitor profiles. It just takes a lot of the complexity of managing that information out of the hands of employees and focuses it into a system. And then detailed reporting. Some compliances require multiple years of history. And paper logbooks and other mechanisms that are more manual obviously present a lot of problems accessing this information and having it accurate. With the visitor management system, you can filter, sort, get to the information that you need, and it's ready for audits and whatever else you might need that information for. Before I go into the application itself, I'm just going to provide a system overview and cover some of the high-level features of the product, and then I'll go into demonstrate. So EntryLogic, one of the key differentiators for us is flexibility. being able to configure this system in a way that works for your organization. So you could use this without hardware. You could use it with hardware. You could put multiple tablets throughout your facility to cover access points. You could put multiple printers at certain locations. So there's a collection of plug and play hardware options, and it could be easily configured to support any of the environmental setups that you might have. The system can, as we mentioned, can cover multiple access points. So within a location, if you have 3 or 4 entrances, you are able to put technology to capture visitors entering and exiting those locations. And you could do that across multiple locations. We do have another application or another plan that also covers multi-tenant facilities. So if you're in a building and a property management company that's running a multi-tenant building, you have a platform that gives you complete control within the lobby, and the benefit that each tenant has the ability to create their own visitor flow, has access to their own information, can present their own visitor agreements. So it provides a lot of flexibility. The system allows you to sign in visitors in a variety of different ways. So you can, through the web application, a receptionist or a lobby attendant can process visitors right within the application, and I'll demonstrate that capability shortly. Through kiosks, you could do self sign-in, and there's also contactless. So, there's a much more heightened awareness with transmission of germs and an aversion to touch tablets. Visitors can go in, scan the QR code with their own device, and complete the entire sign-in flow right from their own device. So contactless entry. Pre-registration, this again presents the highest level of safety. In some industries like transportation and logistics, you're required to schedule deliveries. In some industries, if you're serving certain segments of the market, particularly like departments of defense and stuff like that. So with pre-registration, hosts can enter their meeting details and their visitor information into EntryLogic prior to the meeting. The visitor will receive an email notification with all of the details for the upcoming meeting, as well as a QR code. And that QR code can simply be scanned on the tablet upon their arrival. It recalls their information and streamlines that check-in process for that. From an efficiency perspective, as visitors arrive, hosts receive real-time notifications. So this is very useful. We've all been in situations where you go into a lobby and they're trying to get in touch with your host and they can't. They're not at their office or what have you. So this sends SMS notifications and emails to hosts upon visitor arrival. So you can instantly notify and let people know that their visitor is waiting for them in the lobby, and also allows them to quickly acknowledge their presence. Visitor agreements, as I mentioned, and this could be used in a variety of different ways. Different organizations might have a code of conduct that they need every visitor to sign, or certain health requirements or NDAs. So complete flexibility, and there's some setting parameters that allow you to require somebody to sign it again if they're a returning visitor, if the agreement was updated or past an expiration date. Emergency management within the application. One click gives you complete visibility to everyone that's present. You could send information instantly to everyone that's present, and then they'll receive notification. There's also a list that could be used for roll call or to hand to first responders if need be. I talked before about the watch list, so you have the ability to add people or individuals, disgruntled employees, whatever that might be, to that list, and that will be a lookup when somebody arrives. Detailed reporting, and I'll get into this feature a little bit more within the application, but there's a lot of capabilities here in terms of being able to see activity during either hours during the day, days during the week. It allows you to staff accordingly. So if there's certain times within the day where it would benefit from a security perspective to have a higher level of staffing, you have fact data now to work with. And then detailed reports that can contain all that information. It could be useful for contact tracing or, as I mentioned before, some of the compliance requirements. From an employee perspective, we issue secure digital IDs that will sit within the Apple Wallet or Google Wallet. Much safer than a key fob. So if it's lost, that could be instantly deactivated and reissued, and you don't have to worry about a lost key fob. So much more secure. When an employee arrives, they can scan their QR code or their ID badge on the tablets, and they are automatically signed in within the employee log, which I'll demonstrate as well. So with that, I'm going to move over to the application and just give you a quick overview of what that looks like. So what we're looking at is the visitor log within the EntryLogic application. So it's pretty simple interface. You can see left navigation will send you through different elements of the application itself. The visitor log is probably where most of the time a lobby attendant will spend their time. It provides instant visibility to everyone that's present, anybody that's invited and expected, and what time they're expected. If somebody is invited but they didn't show up, within 60 minutes after that time, their QR code is no longer valid for security reasons, and that will move into an expired state. You'll see visibility to people that have arrived and have departed, the time that they departed. Access denied, and this could be either for watch list reasons or for health screening reasons. So you have visibility to anyone in that state, and then anybody that's currently signed in. You have a quick dashboard count of, and you could filter and sort by any of these fields. The same field for employees. So there's an employee log. This gives lobby attendants and administrators instant access to who's present and who's expected to arrive, the time they arrived, and if they left, the time that they exited the building. So information of who's in your building is always at your fingertips and very easily accessible and password protected. So this is information that you need to log in with password to access. So it's secure from that perspective. From a reporting perspective, there's a lot of filters and functionality here. You could look at the single day, you could look at last week, last month, last year. You could set your own date parameters if you want to. You could then sort by location if you're running a multi-location organization. If you are a multi-tenant building, you can sort by tenant, by employee, by visitor company, by visitor. So it's very useful to access that information in a variety of different ways. You could also view the information, as I mentioned, by hours, days, weeks, or months if you want to do some analysis as to where the hotspots are in your activity. Any view that you see here, any parameters that you set, you could instantly export that into a detailed review. This section here is where the emergency management area is. So currently there's 6 visitors present, there's 13 employees present. You could set this by location. You can create a text message here. If there's an evacuation, stay in place order, whatever it might be, a pending storm that's coming, you could type up that information. It is sent to all cohorts that are selected in the building, and then you're able to download that history to have a very detailed report for that. In a situation where an evacuation is required, disseminating information quickly, consistently, is really the best path from an emergency response perspective to create a very orderly response and evacuation if needed. Same thing for stay in place if that unfortunate circumstance was to occur. The next section I'll walk through quickly is the settings area. So this top section here, you're setting up the company, you're setting up locations, assigning administrators for those locations, employee setup, defining roles and permissions. Auto sign out allows you to define times that you can sign out automatically for employees or visitors. We've all been to a place maybe where we've signed in but didn't sign out. The admin can sign you out, or you can set an auto sign out that at a certain point in the day, all visitors are logged out of the system. So this way, the next morning, it's clean and you know that no one is present. There are some settings within this feature also for 24-hour operations that would allow you to set certain parameters. Defining notifications and preferences. This area here is defining all of your visitor flow. So each, as I mentioned before, depending on what information you need to collect from your visitors, you're able to define that visitors field. And this is the information that's presented on the kiosk and also through the self sign-in or the administrative sign-in when you're signing in. This is where you're managing visitor agreements and then also personalizing the kiosk. This is where health screening, this is a beta feature at the moment, but you can create questions and editors and responses that would also be presented during the sign-in flow. Watch list management is where watch list candidates are added to the application. And then complete control over all of the devices that are set up into the system. You can see if they're online, offline. If there's a printer offline, you have a notification, and you could see exactly where your issue is. You could activate, deactivate, and this is across multiple locations if need be. I'm going to go back to the visitor log and just share with you the flow for an admin or if a reception desk to sign in visitors. They select this sign-in log. They're able to define the location, select the host that's present in that location, collect reason for visit. This allows you to enter all of the parameters that are required. And again, this list is defined by the settings that I shared with you. From this point, you have a few options. We have an optional card scanner. You can scan that, scan a driver's license or a business card. It will then automatically extract the elements that are available from those IDs and populate that. So that eliminates some of that step. You could add a visitor. So if multiple visitors are here to see the same host, you could do a group sign in and add those folks as well. From here at sign in, you can take a photo from the web application. The tablet will also take the photo. You can present a visitor agreement and acknowledge their acceptance. You can do health screening all from the sign in tab, or you can send an invitation. So if this is somebody that is going to be in your facility multiple days or like a recurring visit for once a week for a certain time, it's very similar to the way you would send an Outlook invite. It has all of the same settings from that point. You could also do, like I said, set the date and time. You could repeat daily, weekly. You could set all the parameters if it's certain times of the week. So very flexible. A lot of capabilities from that perspective. The admin has the ability also to print badges for invited guests, so they could have those badges ready for those folks when they attend. It's helpful if there's an event or if there's a larger list of people that are due into your lobby. From an efficiency standpoint, all of that work could be done prior to the visitor's arrival. You could edit invitations and do a variety of different activities. So it's completely functional. And whether they sign in on the kiosk or sign in directly from an admin, all of the admin controls that I shared with you are the same. So you could print badges, reprint badges, sometimes if somebody's in the building for a while and they might need a new badge. Each badge is printed with a QR code, and that QR code allows them to quickly sign out on the tablet upon exit.